So today I want to talk about the top 5 reasons that I moved to Wichita Falls, Texas, and that's what we're talking about right now. We're getting started right here. So this channel is all about Wichita Falls and why I think it's so amazing. And so I invite you to peruse the channel. But today, what I'm talking about are the 5 reasons that I personally moved from that fabulous sunny Southern California right here to Wichita Falls. And the number 1 reason that I moved here was the people. Now, I got to give you a little preface here. I lived in Wichita Falls back in 1996 for a decade. I moved here because a little small whisper was in my voice, move to Wichita Falls. And I thought that voice was crazy. But if you've ever had a voice speak to you from somewhere else, you know what I'm talking about. You just can't refuse that voice. So I did. And it was a very small community. It is a small community still. And at the time, I was a Southern California girl and I was a little bit younger. And I thought, well, do I really want to move there? Well, I'll tell you something. I moved here and I started the first female-owned and operated mortgage company and made let's say, a little bit of money. And I made so much money that 10 years later I moved back to California, but I knew what was waiting for me back here in Wichita Falls, and that was the people. The people in Wichita Falls are so kind and so considerate and so giving and so loving, and there's not a ton of them. So you actually get to engage with people on a very intimate level. And you can say hi to your neighbor, you can wave to your neighbor, and I've done a lot of videos on that very thing about the people of Wichita Falls. But I say that is the number 1 reason that I moved back, because I already knew how amazing the people in this community were. The number 2 reason that I moved back to Wichita Falls was because the cost of living.
The cost of living.
Now, I've done several videos on the cost of living of Wichita Falls, but let me just put it to you this way. I would have to make probably $250,000 a year to have the lifestyle that I have here in Wichita Falls and be struggling and pushing and blowing everybody up to get what I needed, because you can make a lot of money in California, but there is this huge cost of living that to have a house, have a roof over your head, to pay for your gasoline, to pay for your property taxes, to pay for your income taxes. It's crazy. So what I know is that this is, and I've said this a million times, it's like the Goldilocks story. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right. We have hit more surveys and charts showing that this is one of the most economically sound places to live in the United States. So that was one of those big attractions for me, because I wanted to be able to, can you tell I'm a little old? I wanted to be able to have some of that Social Security, which isn't very much, go towards something else while I was building a business. Because that leads me to reason number 3. The 3rd reason that I moved back to Wichita Falls was because I knew that no matter what kind of business I wanted to start, which it happened to be being a real estate agent this time, no matter what kind of business I wanted to start, that I could be successful here. Because what happens is when you have a smaller community that's big enough to support business, you can stand out. Whether or not you're into computer development or software development or website designing or jewelry making or being a baker, I could go on and on. You could be anything you want in this community. And number 1, they rally around you and they support you and they encourage you. You can be successful. Of course, you have to have that entrepreneur mind. So that's in another class, in another video. But that's what's really, really amazing and attractive. And now, because you can work anywhere remotely, you can use all of the money that you're making from these high-powered jobs and live in this amazing low-cost community, have people surrounding you, loving and, being sweet and kind to you and giving you that sweet tea, and you can still be having this great, great life because we have so much to give here. And that brings me to the fourth reason that I moved back to Wichita Falls. You know, it has a smaller population and it's a little bit insulated. The good news is that you have sort of this perfect little spot with just this amount of people, you know, no more than 200,000. But we're right close to so many things. So in an hour and a half drive, you could be in a huge metropolitan area outside of Dallas. You can be in Dallas. In another 2 hours, you can be in Oklahoma City. You can get to New Mexico easily from here. You can drive down to Houston. You can, because American Airlines hub is in Dallas. You could drive to Dallas and in 2 hours be in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, one of my very favorite places on the planet, and experience a little bit of downtime. Sure, in California I could go to Cabo, but
Oh my gosh.
the Caribbean is so much better. But the thing is that we're so centrally located. You could throw a rock and hit Oklahoma from here. You can go to casinos. We have lakes. We have fishing. Right now it's spring. We have wildflowers. You can drive anywhere right now in 15 minutes and just be inundated with gorgeousness. So I'm going to do a video on wildflowers here this week, and stay tuned for that. So that's the fourth reason. And the fifth reason that I moved back to Wichita Falls was, believe it or not, the weather. Now, I come from Southern California and I still dress as if I live there, like every day is going to be 75 degrees. But you know what? What I never experienced growing up were seasons. And we actually have them here. We have winter, spring, summer, and fall. And so to have the wonderfulness of being in a season and experiencing snow a little bit here and there. Yes, we had snowpocalypse this year. But right now we are in the middle of spring. It is so gorgeous and so green right now. And to experience thunderstorms, because a lot of people, if you've lived in certain areas in the world, you haven't experienced all of these wonderful seasons. So because we're high enough north that we don't experience a lot of humidity, there's a little teeny tiny bit, but it's nowhere near like Florida and Houston. And we get a little bit of chilly snap when it's the holidays. We have a summer that you can just go out and experience lakes and boating and swimming and all kinds of things. So actually, I've done a video on the weather in Wichita Falls, and I invite you to watch it because the weather is absolutely remarkable here. Now, does it get a little hot sometimes in the summer? Absolutely. But where doesn't it? That's what I ask. Now, what I want you to know is that I absolutely have never regretted either one of the times that I moved to Wichita Falls, and I invite you, if you are experiencing the thought of moving to someplace that sounds like this, that's small enough yet big enough to have all of your needs met and just has that community that wants to embrace you, please, please, please drop me a note, say hi, text me. There's a link on there that you can connect with me. We can have a Zoom call. I love to share this community with others. And the fact is that if you are thinking of moving to Texas in particularly, this little corner of the world is the gem of the state. So as I always say, y'all come back now, and there's a couple of other videos coming up. Be sure to watch them. Bye-bye now.